Hi guys, I just want to share with you a few things that I've been doing over the last couple of weeks. I have been making more tags and doing a lot more stamping, collage work, and basically lots of using up scrap pieces of fabric, scrap pieces of paper, even recycling some of my clothes. In front of you are just a few of the collage tags that I've achieved over the last couple of weeks. Now, it's come about very basically because I am not working on a journal. I've had to put a journal to one side for the moment. I've got family and friends that we've got some health issues, and I'm finding it a bit difficult to craft. So I sat down a couple of weeks back and I just literally got out the little sewing machine and started with scraps of paper, and I wanted to do something that was pretty mundane. So here is just some of my leftover paper. Now this has got a bit of backing here. This is just some handmade paper that I've used as backing. And as you can see, I have just taken scraps. I have used a bit of glue stick occasionally, but mostly I have just sewn randomly. As you can see, the pieces of paper are not all glued down, they're still loose. There's pieces of trim. I mean, this is a little piece that's just been cut off. There are die cuts in here, where I thought I've just caught the side of a piece of paper, it hasn't come out perfectly. What else can I do with it? I'm not going to necessarily throw it away in the bin. And as you can see, scraps are all just enclosed. Once I built up a real big sheet of paper, this is obviously a leftover here, I moved on to literally cutting out the tags. So I've just taken a tag in my collection and I've just popped it down. As you can see, this part of that pink trim again here, and I have just meticulously cut round some tags. I've even enclosed little pictures that I've had in my collection of the odd little digital kit. I've got sewing ephemera here, and I've just worked my way through, got a little bit of fabric, even got a playing card. Dare I say it, this playing card here, you can just see where I have literally cut. I was a little bit mindful if there was some images with people on, but yet again, I've just made the use of lots and lots of scrap. So you can see some of them are backed, some of them are not. What do you do with all of this? So you've got lots and lots of sewn. You don't actually have to have a sewing machine. You can just use glue sticks and you can glue lots of your paper together. But I happen to have the sewing machine. It was a beautiful sunny day. I went outside and I sewed quite tedious, you know. I just went on for about an hour or so. The next stage was to actually photocopy my work. So here is the original and here is the photocopy next door to it. By photocopying, I've still got the original, and then I can consider layering up. In my case, on this little bee here, I've layered a vintage button, a little bit of fabric tape here, like a measuring tape. I've got some tea stained lace. I've obviously done some stamping. I've got a little piece of rusty trim here, and you see that is just a natural rust spot, and I've done another little floral stamp, and it's just based on a photocopy, which then I've backed with coffee stained paper, and obviously just put an eyelet in. And this is what I've done. All that you see in front of you really is, we've got some Tim Holtz collage pieces here, and I haven't worried. I've done one here in a minute that you may see where these are a set of twins, and this is the offcut. Fussy cutting this fish here, I've cut this section, I wanted the head, and then I've just used bits and pieces of this fish throughout. Still got this really big bumblebee stamped on, and yet again you can see some of the stitching, but it's obviously, this is a photocopy, but immediately you're not drawn to the fact that it's a photocopy that's been layered up. So I've used all sorts of elements. I mean, I've even got the little feet here from the twin. I've got some fabric, I've got fabric measuring tape, another Tim Holtz stamp. We've got another part of the fish which I fussy cut, done a bit more stamping, got a little shell, and I've really used with things that I've had in my collection. Admittedly, you've got some more stamping, some beach huts and this shell, and I think you're getting the general gist here. I've stamped on more fabric. I've actually just put a silver safety pin here. We've got another vintage button, more trim, a little bit of sewing ephemera, and it's just layers upon layers of layering up the original pieces of paper. It doesn't matter, you don't have to be brilliant at a brilliant seamstress, and obviously the sewing machine, the sewing, some of it you can see the tension isn't very good, but I am asking the sewing machine to do a lot. It's going through different styles of layers, and you could possibly, I didn't have this one, as you can see, it's got no backing on, and I'm asking the sewing machine to go through all these different layers. Maybe, I mean, I thought about it, and I did put in the one little sheet of paper that went underneath to literally seal it all together, to make the sandwich a bit neater, so those dog teeth didn't have to sort of like work out where it was going next and get trapped paper in there. Anyway, that is roughly what I have been doing. I've also inherited some cushion covers, unfinished projects from my mum. This was originally, this is silk here, and she's just done like a patchwork effect, and as you can see, she said play, enjoy, and out has come the coffee staining. So I'm working on just doing lots and lots of coffee staining, and it really changes. I mean, there's these lovely pansies here, and I've got more padding that I can take out because I am trying to work a lot more with laces and trims, things that I've got in my collection. I've also been working on trying to make a lot of my, I've done a tutorial on using plastic doilies to decorate and enhance your coffee stain paper. People do struggle to get the plastic doilies. They're not, I mean, I look for mine in the pound shops, but it's not always convenient and they're not always there. So I've taken one piece of a doily, which has been, in this case, it's got a light, slightly more orangey red colour. This is from Onion Skins, and I've used white, I mean, you could use Elmer's glue. I've actually used Builder's white glue to try and see if I can make a little purse out of doilies, and then I'm hoping to tuck inside a little book, and I've placed a little bit of trim around there. I've just taken the natural loops, and I'm trying to do something that doesn't involve sewing. I mean, I did hand stitch down the one side just to, at the beginning. This is now around about 2 weeks in, and it's still a little tacky. So I'm not necessarily convinced that this is the ideal product to use, but I literally have taken my doily, applied lots of PVA glue, and then realised I could turn this into a lovely little purse. But what I was hoping to do was take this plastic doily, well, this plastic coated fabric doily and see if I could use this for coffee staining without you having to go and get yourself some plastic doilies. But as you can see, I haven't tried that yet. I ended up trying to see if I could make a purse, and then if I effectively made a small one, I wanted to see what would happen if I carried on with my glue, and I went ahead and tried making a bigger one because more like a little hand satchel. So all in all, these are just some of the things that I have been working on. I also wondered about, I don't have a lot of time, things are going to be a little bit fraught for a while with my family. This is hand sewn, this little book. Everything here is literally been stitched by hand, but it's still work in progress. And I was thinking these little tags that I've been making, I wondered if they would work nicely fitted in throughout the little front cover. This hasn't been touched with any glue at all. These are still literally as, you know, just sewn in with a little bit of netting at the background. And I've just used a armchair cover which has just been folded in half with a little bit of wadding put in the centre. I mean, I can obviously show you later on if you are keen to make something on a similar basis, but I will say, because it's hand sewn, it is labour intensive. I mean, not all of it. I mean, that's all sewn down, and that is yet, you can see my knots and my stitching. But I didn't want to get the sewing machine out, and I didn't want to glue all these wonderful different styles of laces together. But it's all new. I've never done something along these lines before, so I'm still work in progress and still playing. But this is probably where these tags will end up, working their way into this journal at a later date. And I thought that would be a nice way for those to be presented. So, and as you can see, it's still quite bare at the back for the moment. So, moving on, I bought some linens, and all I done was grabbed a packet of linen for £1 from the car boot sale and just threw them in a bucket of coffee stained water, left them, the sun came out, I grabbed them out, I've ironed them now, I just chucked them out in the sunshine to dry. Didn't really care how long they sat in there. It was just a matter of they were doing their due without me having to get stressed out, and they were just nicely coffee staining up. And again, I'm thinking of trying to do little presentation packs, but keeping it really simple, preferably without much in the way of sewing, and seeing if I can work a little quirky, 3 little doilies here. They, as you can see, I mean, they've had lives, they're ripped. I could take off the lace around the outside edge, but I'm going to work with them. I'm using, yet again, found objects, as you can see. I mean, this is a piece of bark from outside in my back garden. We've got another vintage button. Fussy cut this little shell out, and yet again it features that fish. And I'm working out if I can sort of like make an attractive, put a tag, got a pin. I may work a little bit of paper behind this doily, and then that way we can journal here. I've got another opportunity to see if I can use some more found objects, more beads, and slowly just make a very simple fabric stroke paper book. Well guys, I think for the moment I have possibly bored you necessarily with my concept of what's going on and why I'm not being 100% productive on my journals, but things are still going on. I mean, I'm just going to share with you this lovely decoration. Yet again, it's come down from my mum. It's a very simple fabric this looks like a blanket to me, with a little bit of tea stained cotton, with lots and lots of fibres. She literally has just taken a few wads of, or what you call them, I won't be able to remember the correct name, but she's just taken a whole pack of one full thread and then taken some wool, literally run it round in a circle and then gone along and physically hand stitched. As you can see, it isn't necessarily neat and tidy this side, but she's just literally captured a few threads as she's gone round and sewn. She's then got some little bits of fabric in the centre, and she's sewn this button, and that's why it's a little bit more ruched in the centre there. And what I was thinking, it doesn't, the colorations, and obviously this is going to be all my own work, and obviously this is something that my mum's produced, and I was thinking about one of those big lace plastic doilies, and maybe that could go in the centre like so, just to make, I mean, like a little clutch bag. Anyway, as I said, waffled on, and I hope to catch up with you really soon. Take care, guys. Bye bye.